If you want to write a book and become a best-selling author, you're in the right place. At Elite Online Publishing, we can help you create, publish, and market your book so that it becomes a #1 bestseller. We work with a limited number of authors to ensure that they receive the best possible service. So if you want to learn how to write and publish a book that will empower you to smartly grow your brand, business, and credibility, apply today. We look forward to working with you.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Elite Publishing Podcast. We are here to give you great information about writing, publishing, and marketing your book and what a book can do for you. I am so proud to say that we have Jason Van Camp with us today. He was a Green Beret in the U.S. Military Special Forces. He is the author of Deliberate Discomfort. He's a Wall Street Journal best-selling author with the book Authority that he was part of. And he just has an amazing career and amazing backstory. So Jason, thank you so much for coming today.
My honor to be here. Thanks for having me. Love you guys. You've done a lot for me and me personally in my business. So it's always an honor to be a part of your network.
Awesome. Well, Jason, tell us a little bit about why you decided to become an author and some of your backstory.
Sure. So I guess, growing up, I never thought like, oh, I have this incredible passion of writing and being an author. I always thought I was pretty good at it. People would tell me I was pretty good. I've got some talent in it. And so that kind of made me feel like it was a possibility in the future. I never thought to myself, oh, there's no way I can do that. I always am pretty optimistic, cautiously optimistic about things. And when I went and got my master's, my MBA, I was considering starting my own business. And my own business had to do with leadership development and team building and culture building, that sort of thing. And I wanted to talk to my favorite professor there. He's a great guy. And he sort of laughed at me. He's like, Jason, the only type of person I know that's successful in this industry are people that already have material. You have to have a book, so you got to write something and then you can start your business. And I thought to myself, I don't have to write something. I don't want to write something. I'm a Green Beret. Our nickname is the Quiet Professionals. We don't talk about ourselves. We don't publicize ourselves. We're not on social media. We don't do any of that stuff. So I'm not going to write a book. And the only type of military books that I was acquainted with in this sort of genre were Navy SEAL books, and it seemed like they always, stick a Navy SEAL trident on their cover, and they always talk about BUDS, their basic underwater demolition, they're training to be a SEAL, and it just seemed like it's not something I wanted to do. And the more I kind of wanted to be a business owner, the more I tried to sell my product, the more I went and put myself out there, the more I realized like I can't be successful if I don't market myself. Like I have to do it. Like you can't just forget about marketing. You have to be good at marketing because it's sales. And if you're not selling, you just have a hobby, and I wanted this business to be successfully financially too. So I said, all right, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take that uncomfortable leap of faith. I'm going to write this book, but I can write a book where it's going to make my community proud. It's not going to be something where I'm boastful and I'm, arrogant and bragging about how awesome I am in special forces and stuff. It's going to be much more of an introspective approach where I'm humble and I'm saying, listen, I don't have all the answers. This is how I learned things. This is what I learned from these people. And this is what you can do as well. And so I named the book Deliberate Discomfort, and I tackled it. January, probably 2019 is when I first started writing it. And I finished it September 2019. So that's kind of the process for me.
So how did it open doors? Like you were saying, you were wanting to have this business and then you realized, wow, I've really got to write a book. So what happened after you wrote the book, launched the book and started using it? And how did you use it to help grow your business?
Yeah. So it's an amazing tool, and it's a tried and true business method, meaning like I didn't invent the wheel here. Like it's been done before. So use the book as material to market yourself. And so it opens doors in that, when you talk to somebody and they say, hey, give me a one-pager, give me a slide deck, give me something. And I always say this, I say, listen, here's my book. This is what I believe. This is who I am. This is also my curriculum. Read it. And if you like it, let me know. And we can do something together. And I would say 50% of the time people come back and they're like, I really enjoyed the book. I want to do something. I believe in this as well. This is great. 50% of the time it isn't that someone reads it and doesn't like it. Maybe a few, whatever, but the other 50% of people just don't even read it. And that's okay. Because with that 50%, I'm getting more business than I would have otherwise, just trying to repeat myself on sales calls, saying the same message over and over again. Now it's just like, hey, it's all right here. If you really want to do something, read this book and then let me know.
And I bet you even have people that don't read the book, that keep looking at the book, and they maybe read the back or thumb through it a little bit, and they hire you too. I bet that happens as well.
That would be awesome. I haven't received any information from anyone saying, I just read the book jacket and I'm in. But if that is the case, then that's pretty awesome. That's pretty incredible.
Well, what would you say after they've read it? What would you hope that they would learn from it?
So Deliberate Discomfort is all about choosing hard things before hard things choose you, because hard times are coming either way, whether you like it or not. That's life. That's the inevitability of life. Like hard times are coming. And so you might as well be proactive about it. So you might as well say, you know what, I'm going to do these things that I'm always I'm putting off, I'm procrastinating, that I don't want to do, because you're not pushing back on the action. Typically the action is pretty easy. You're pushing back on the emotion. Like you don't like how you feel when you do something. For example, writing a book, right? Putting your head down and typing away on a keyboard and putting words on paper is not difficult. It is not hard at all. However, the emotion associated with that, sometimes for people, it's like, you know what, this is no good, or I don't like how this looks, or, and you start feeding yourself all these negative thoughts, and you feel bad about it. And then eventually you're going to be like, well, I don't want to do this. And you kind of talk yourself out of an amazing golden opportunity. And Deliberate Discomfort is saying, you know what, put yourself voluntarily, intentionally, deliberately in this place of discomfort where you can be uncomfortable so you can grow. Because that's the only way. When you just go outside and look at life. Like, how do we survive? How do we become better? It's because we grow. You look at animals and plants, you look at humans. We have to put ourselves in difficult times and overcome those times in order to be better and be the best version of ourselves.
Right. And when you sit down to type, you really have to be that vulnerable self to really let out everything. And tell us a little bit about that vulnerability and how you can unlock that.
That's a great question. So to me, it's about being authentic to yourself.
Yeah.
And knowing who you are and not being afraid to show that. When I sit down and write, if I schedule like 2 hours in my calendar, my day to write, typically I'll sit there and I'll just, look at the screen. I'll be like, how do I start? What do I do? This is kind of hard. And if I force myself to write, I'll look back on it. I'll be like, this is kind of crap. This is no good. So I look for inspiration. I don't plan any time during the day where I write. I just say, hey, listen, when I'm inspired, I'm going to put whatever else I have going on aside, and I'm going to sit down and write. And all of a sudden you find out, hey, I just wrote for 3-4 hours and it's solid stuff. You try to, for me, different things. I put myself in positions where I absorb information from other people, whether it's like at church or a podcast or just listening to other people talk, and all of a sudden you get inspired. Similar to if someone were to just say, hey, Jen, tell me a story. And you're like, where do I begin? However, if Melanie and I were telling stories for the last 30 minutes and you're like, hey, I want to join in because I've got some relevant stories. I've got some stories that are just as good or just as funny or just as whatever. Let me go. Well, you've been inspired by both of us to share your experiences. Sometimes when I get into a fight, like an argument or something like that, I've got a lot of fire inside me. Sit down and put it on paper, write about it. That'll give me some inspiration as well. Anything that you can use to fuel yourself, good or bad, it's great, inspiration for writing, I would say.
That's such a great tip. And I hadn't thought about that before. We have a lot of writers like morning is my best time. And I set that 2-hour thing. Jen and I have written different things in the past. And I'm like, I just sit there and stare. And I say, so my story is like, what's the first thing I'm going to do? Sit at the computer. I think I need to get a cup of tea. Then I go get a cup of tea. I should double check my phone, make sure the kids haven't text messaged me. Let me do that. I'll pop up on social media, scrolling through social media, an hour's gone by now and I haven't even done a thing because you're not inspired. So I love that tip about listening to something, because so many times when you're having a conversation with someone, you're like, oh, that happened to me too. And you think about, you want to tell your story that's in that topic. That's really great.
Exactly right. It's like, you're having dinner with your family, your kids, and you're saying, hey, how was school? The answer is always good, or something short like that. However, if you start out the dinner conversation, hey guys, listen to what I had going on today. So, and then you just go off on your stories. And then all of a sudden, without even prompting it, your kids are like, well, I at school did this. And then there you go. So you have to start out yourself, or you can others.
Interesting conversational starter. So what doors, obviously you said this helped get you business. Did any other doors open for you because of your book?
For the book, really the doors that opened were opportunities to pen different articles, op-eds. There were opportunities to go on the news. Like I was on Fox News, the corporate, 2 or 3 times on Fox News to promote the book, which was awesome. Speaking opportunities became more abundant than they were before. Workshops, people started asking about workshops. Although what we were really selling were team building opportunities. Those opportunities really didn't present themselves, but the speaking and the workshop opportunities were abundant. Like I said, they were fantastic. So you write a book, people are going to bring you in to speak about it. And if they really like you, they want you to come speak even longer and, provide some sort of classroom experience, like a workshop, either virtually or in person. And that's what I found in writing a book. Those are the opportunities that present themselves to you.
Mm-hmm. What surprised you the most about having a published book?
Wow. Let me think about that for a second. What surprised me most about having a published book? First thought is how fun it was.
Mm-hmm.
I think mainly because you put yourself out there, and if people like it, you're like, oh, this is great. I'm having a lot of fun. However, if people are like, your book sucks, dude, I'd be like, I would not be having fun. I'd be like, oh man, I should never have done, I'd be thinking about that. So make sure that you get a lot of eyes on that manuscript before you publish it, because you don't want to get into a situation like that. So I had a lot of fun with it. There was positive feedback. I guess when you write it, you feel like I'm being authentic, but then when someone else, there are people that really take and get a lot out of it, and they'll come to me really aggressively and passionately about how much the book has helped them, and I don't think I expected that. I was like, wow, really? It did, and I hoped it would help people. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that when you see the results and people authentically, testifying to the impact, that's pretty special. That was surprising, I guess.
Yeah, that's one of the great things I love about what we do is that we know it makes an impact to the author, that, wow, they got their words written and they kind of transform themselves by even just writing the book and getting it published, and it helps their business and things. But it's all the thousands of people for decades to come that can get their hands on that book, that it'll change their life, that you don't even know. And it outlives you. It's like a legacy that you're leaving when you're not even here, because the book doesn't go away. It just has a life force of its own. So you wrote this book, you went through a self-publishing process. What advice would you give someone knowing what you know now about how to publish your book?
What are your goals? What do you want to get out of this? Do you just want to write a book and just call yourself an author? Okay, that's great. Do you want to sell this book? Do you want this thing to become a bestseller? What do you want out of this book? So identify that goal first, and then talk to people. You got to find the right people. For me in business, what I've learned is, in the military, you basically are given a team. You fall in on a team. You have people that are already there, and now all of a sudden you're the boss. When you're an officer, you're the boss, you're the commander, right? And I took that approach in business, in the civilian world, whereas I worked with what I got, and when I had people that weren't doing great, I would try to train them harder. I would give them the benefit of the doubt. And I realized, you don't have to do that in the civilian world. You can get rid of them. There's no repercussions. Find somebody else. So it isn't about putting butts in seats. It's about putting the right butts in the right seats, And I would say this with you guys, those are the right butts in the right seats. You guys know what you're doing. You produce, you get results. I said, hey, listen, I want to become a Wall Street Journal bestselling author. He said, well, we'll make it happen. Here's the plan. Here's how you do it. Let's do it together. We'll be with you every step of the way. And at the end of the day, Wall Street Journal bestselling author, made it happen. Very few people, so pat yourselves on the back for that. Very few people produce results. A lot of people give you a big song and dance and how they can do all this stuff. And at the end of the day, they got excuses. You don't. you have results. And I always respect and admire and appreciate you guys for that.
Thank you. Yeah. Do you have plans to write more? I know you had talked about, you have 2 books now. Have you thought about doing more?
Maybe, when I first wrote Deliberate Discomfort, I should have continued writing because I sort of had excitement and habits formed and momentum, and now 3 years later, it's sort of hard to keep the momentum going, mainly because and it's all in my mind. Like I said before, like I got great results in my first book. I'm really proud of it. People love it. And I'm like, I don't want to screw up the second book. You know what I mean? So I'm very slow and cautious about what I'm writing. And that's not what I should be doing. I'm sort of hampering my progress. But Deliberate Discomfort is essentially a trilogy. So Deliberate Discomfort, the first book, learning how to lead. The second book is about leading in chaos and combat when, crap hits the fan, everything is crazy all around you. How does leadership change and what should you be doing? And then the third book is, me and my team, we get back from combat and life has changed, like how we experienced life previously is not how we're going to live moving forward based upon what we've done, what we've seen, how we've changed. And a lot of guys in my community have a hard time with that, and they contemplate and actually commit suicide because, it's not that they're trying to kill themselves, they're trying to kill something inside of them, And in the military, we're sort of been taught that you eliminate the enemy, and when guys get back, some of them have the false belief that they are the enemy, and so they eliminate themselves. And so that's what the third book is going to be about, and I'm working towards it right now. And maybe in the future, I'll write more. I don't know. I'm definitely focused on the trilogy right now. And then after that, who knows? We'll see what happens.
Tell us about your foundation, Warrior Rising, and has your books helped your foundation at all?
Oh, 100%. So the foundation I have is a 501c3. It's a nonprofit organization, veteran service organization. It's called Warrior Rising. You can find out more at warriorrising.org. And we help veterans and their immediate family members in the most altruistic way we know how. We help them help themselves and find their purpose again through business ownership. So a veteran leaves the service, they always ask the same question. Now, what am I going to do with myself? Some veterans, I believe, need mental health assistance. Some veterans just want to get a job. And then the third thing is some veterans want to start a business. So that's how we help them. They don't know how to start a business. We help them. If they have an idea on the back of a napkin, if they want to start a franchise business, if they want to buy an existing business, or if they have a business already and they're sort of stuck, they don't know how to scale, we help them out. And so when I wrote Deliberate Discomfort, we hand out these books at all of our events, and we're a very event-heavy organization. So we have 14, 15 events a year. And so we hand out the books for free. So we buy a lot of them and just hand them out for free and give people an opportunity to contribute, to donate to Warrior Rising, to refer vets to us, to volunteer to be coaches or mentors, and really just inspire people and say, this is who Jason Van Camp is. This is what he believes, and if you want to be involved in this, we want you to serve again.
What is so wonderful about this is that, you wrote this one book, and this one book is not just serving your business, it's also serving your foundation. So the investment that you made, the investment of time and energy and money to get it published and launched, you're using it for more than one thing. And I think people don't even think about the different ways they can use their book just outside of that one purpose. So that's really genius that you're doing that, knowing that you can do both of those things. I really like that, Jason.
And influence so many people.
Very kind, guys. Thanks so much. Yeah, it didn't start out with this huge strategy with a diagram on a whiteboard behind me and say, this is how we're going to do it. You just kind of look for opportunities, be a criminal of opportunity in other words, and just figure out how to get it done. Be resourceful, Yeah.
So would you encourage other people to write their books? Some people, you kind of touched on not procrastination, but you want to get this next book done and you're taking your time. And so many authors will come to us, I've been working on this book for 10 years. And man, this book could be working for you. It could be helping your business, your foundation, or opening different doors for you. So what advice do you have for those people?
I mentioned earlier that the nickname for the Green Berets is the quiet professionals, right?
Yeah.
So although we're quiet professionals, we shouldn't be silent professionals, and I say that to everyone else. If you have something to say it, don't be afraid. What's holding you back? It's just fear. And what are you afraid of? It's fear of the unknown. That's the only thing we're really afraid of. Once we know something, we're no longer afraid of it. Imagine playing sports, when you're a kid or in high school or whatever. Before the game, I'm sure you were pretty nervous and you were a little scared. But once the game started, you weren't scared. You weren't playing scared. You were just playing because you knew what was going to happen. And that's the same thing with the book. Like, you're afraid. Well, what are you afraid of? You're afraid of the unknown. You're afraid of what people are going to say about it. Yeah. Okay. I understand where you're coming from. Once you overcome that fear, then you can write as much as you want and whatever you want, and you can feel free. In writing, there is freedom. And if you want that, if you believe in that, then you should write.
I love that. What's one piece of advice you'd give your readers?
My readers, let's see. One piece of advice I would give my readers. Life hasn't passed you by. Life is not short. You're not too old. You're not too weak. You can start anytime.
I like that. Empowering, very empowering. Thanks for coming today, Jason. Tell us where people can find you and reach out to you and get involved in Warrior Rising as well.
Thanks for having me on the show. It's been an honor. Always love connecting with you guys and being a part of the great things that you're doing. You can find me personally on LinkedIn. I do a lot of work on LinkedIn, post, a lot on LinkedIn. Jason Van Camp, just look for the name. I'm in Salt Lake City. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and all that. You can find out more about Deliver Discomfort through deliverdiscomfort.com or deliverdiscomfortchallenge.com. We have a 60-day challenge that we offer. It has been free in January, February, and March. Now we're charging for the rest of the year. And then next year we'll do it again. It's free for the first 3 months. 60-day program. It's amazing. Thousands of people have gone through it. If you want to volunteer to serve Warrior Rising, you can give us your time, your talent, or your treasure. Find us at warriorrising.org. We have a number of events the second quarter all throughout the country. And third quarter, we'll be in DC for a big business shower, and in Salt Lake City again on Veterans Day, November 11th, for a huge business shower. It's going to be a lot of fun, where we give these veterans everything they could possibly need to succeed in business, and soul enriching. It's amazing. So if anybody wants to be a part of that community, let me know. I'd love to connect. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Awesome. We'll put all those links up in the show notes, and you can find Jason and his book everywhere books are sold.
Thanks, Jason. And if you're looking to become an author and want to write a book, reach out to us at eliteonlinepublishing.com and hit the author submission button. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Jason.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
If you want to write a book and become a best-selling author, you're in the right place. At Elite Online Publishing, we can help you create, publish, and market your book so that it becomes a #1 bestseller. We work with a limited number of authors to ensure that they receive the best possible service. So if you want to learn how to write and publish a book that will empower you to smartly grow your brand, business, and credibility, apply today. We look forward to working with you.